Hello and welcome to the 100-Day Art Challenge. I have mentioned before that I work for a gallery in North Wales producing videos for their YouTube channel, and this is going to be the inspiration for today's video. There are a couple of drawings that I make, and it's from this visit that the gallerist and I make to an artist where I draw my inspiration, or from where I draw my inspiration. So without further ado, here is the video. Okay, so here we go. I am starting my first sketch, and it was my intention to make this the daily drawing, and I wasn't even going to show this after I'd finished it because part of me thinks that sometimes drawings like this aren't as good as the looser, more scribbly drawings, and I'm going to try and make a quick case for that if I can, because the measurements here are slightly off, which means that every bit of effort that I'm putting into this drawing now is going to be measured against those exaggerations, those parts of the observation that were kind of misinformed by just rushing slightly too much and not measuring correctly. So the head's slightly too large, or perhaps it's the perspective and some of the shadows there. The shadow around the nose is slightly too dark, so it doesn't really complement the tonality of the drawing. But what I'm trying to do is just capture this pose that I saw from the artist on the day, and I thought it was such a nice visit to try and capture this lovely warm day where the artist is showing his work to the gallerist. And instead what happens is that I think I'm just really trying to put as much detail into a drawing, and not really detail, but by using this white charcoal pencil to try and show the light hitting the artist. I think it's trying to compensate for what I'd not really achieved in the drawing. Don't get me wrong, the second drawing has both line work and light with the white charcoal, but I think that here I'm just trying to create some kind of atmosphere around the subject, some negative space just shaded in there to try and make him pop out a bit more and look a bit more dynamic as a model, and I just don't think it works. So what I end up with is a scribbled, rushed drawing that doesn't really do justice to the subject or to the idea of a daily drawing. So instead, the case for scribbling comes here. Now, I filmed this portrait, so forgive that, and my hand is a bit in the way, but what I'm doing is I'm just looking at a scene with the artist and the gallerist, and I'm just doing a single line, and it's scribbly and it's very loose, but I think it has much more interesting marks and gestures, and it's better to look at, in my view at least anyway, than what it is to try and do a more detailed portrait. And yes, this is a scribbly sketch. I'm not trying to say this is a really good drawing, but out of the two which I created, I find this one to be a lot more compelling. The reason is this: the proportions are immediately better because I'm not trying to focus on details, and because immediately I was trying to draw the head with the hair and the swishy swoopy stuff. Instead, with this, I've just gone really bold line. I'm not doing light wispy lines or scratchy lines, just doing really bold marks and immediately just getting in what I think is important. And I think that's what the strength of this type of drawing is that you find out what is it that you're looking at that you think describes this scene in the most efficient way. How can you make a drawing of two people with an economy of marks by, instead of doing lots of outside shading and trying to develop a tone for the outside of the piece and trying to create lots of different marks in order to describe the texture and tone of the scene, instead just getting down basic line work, I think is immediately more compelling. And granted, you can't see this especially well, but I will show you the drawing at the end, and at least I filmed it, because sometimes I just don't film my drawings. But I think this drawing, it even has more marks than it needs there already, but instead I thought, you know what, I will go in with the white charcoal and put in some light and just see what happens to the piece with that, because it is very few marks, and I think some shading with white charcoal could be an interesting thing to see what happens to a line drawing like this. And I'm glad that I did it, because otherwise you don't find out how that changes, how that alters a quick sketch like this. If I were drawing the public, it would be very similar to this type of drawing. It'd be really quick, just trying to get the gesture down, the pose and parts of the elements of clothing, things which I notice that I think are important features of the subject that I'm admiring and observing in the moment. And then to capture the light, I think is a lovely aspect of the environment that you can inject into a very basic sketch like this, and it will just add that additional element of this is where the light source comes from and this is how it affects the subjects, and it gives it a little bit more atmosphere than it would have had were I to have left it out. Sorry, I'm tripping over my own words there. But that's it. It's just a quick sketch. It's very scribbly, but I thought I'd share this with you because I thought it was interesting, and you get 2 drawings for 1 today. And check out the link in the description for the gallery's YouTube channel, because I've been producing videos for them for the best part of this year, in fact for all of this year. So check that out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.